Yeah.
And our first night in this farmhouse that we rented, we had turned out the lights and we were city people, most recently from Columbus, Ohio. And it was pitch dark out there in the country. And we heard clip clop, clip clop, clip clop. And we ran to the window and threw up the sash to see what was the matter.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I am so excited because I've got Anne Blackburne here, and I had not met her before, and we found out we were, really twins. So I'm just really excited for you to hear the interview. Please be sure to go to my website, jenniferbeckstrand.com, and sign up for my email newsletter because you will get a newsletter once a month. It'll tell you about some great sales and specials, new releases, maybe a cover reveal or two. I know you're going to love seeing that. And if you sign up, you'll get a free book. Kate's Song, my very first Amish romance that I ever wrote, is now out in audiobook. If you love audiobooks, you can download it for free on Audible, and you're going to love listening to it. I hope you check it out. Now I'm really excited to introduce Anne Blackburne. Anne, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
We have never met before, and I can't even remember how we got connected. Was it through that dream?
Possibly through the Keeping Up with the Amish group.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I just admire your work.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
I was hoping that I would get to do this. So thank you so much.
Well, it's so
Yeah.
wonderful. So I know you have some great news about one of your books that made a list. So I'd love to hear
Yes.
about that even very first before
All
anything
right.
else.
So my very first book, Ruth's Ginger Snap Surprise, an Amish romance, was named to the Evangelical Christian Publishers Association's bestseller list in new releases for March. And I couldn't believe it. My publisher told me that it's unusual to have a first book make the list. So
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
over the moon about that.
That is wonderful. Well, it's really a cute title. I don't know if that
Yeah.
had anything to do with it,
Well,
but
the cover of the book is gorgeous. So that might have had something to do with it. Who
oh
knows?
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's your very first book. So tell me about your writing, your career, and a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I have been trying to get a book traditionally published, and I don't know why I was fixated on that, except that back when I started 35 years ago, it was the only way to get published.
Yeah.
So I've really just wanted to do that for, like I said, about 35 years. And I wrote a number of different books. My first was in a middle reader genre. I got an agent, but somebody else beat me to it and came up with the same idea. So over the years, I've tried on and off, but I was raising 5 children, and I have worked part-time for a long time. And for the last dozen years, full-time, I'm a newspaper editor at a weekly newspaper.
Oh,
So
cool.
writing my fiction had to take a back seat to that. So finally, perseverance paid off. One should never ever give up on anything, and I was so fortunate as to become represented by Tamala Hancock Murray with the Steve Lobby Literary Agency,
Okay.
and they sold my book to Barber Publishing, which is based in Ohio, and so am I. So that
Well,
was
that's
fun.
convenient.
Hmm.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your first book came out when?
December 1st.
Oh, wow.
December 1st in print. It has done very well. And my second book, so Barber has a new series called The Heart of the Amish with 3 authors. Both of the other two are much better well known than I am, which is so lucky for me because, of course, their readers can find me then through the series. Mindy Steele and Lisa Jones Baker are the
Oh,
other 2 authors in this series. And so we've each written a couple of books. My second one comes out June 1st. It is called Mary's Calico Hope. And like Ruth's Ginger Snap Surprise, it takes place in the fictional town of Willow Creek, Ohio, in Holmes County. And it's awfully handy that it's only about an hour away from where I live in
nice.
Southern Ohio. And some of the characters from the first book will appear in the second, and they've contracted me for a third to come out about a year from now, and it will also take place in the same world.
Oh, that's so fabulous.
Fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I and the cover is darling, the with the cat and oh my
And
goodness.
doesn't that woman, she looks so joyous. I should
That is great. So have you always wanted to write Amish or did that just kind of
It
fall
evolved.
on you?
I've been around Amish folks since I was a very young married woman. My late ex-husband was a resident physician at a place called Geisinger Medical Center in a town called Danville, Pennsylvania, which is in Pennsylvania's Amish country.
Yeah.
And our first night in this farmhouse that we rented, we had turned out the lights and we were city people, most recently from Columbus, Ohio. And it was pitch dark out there in the country. And we heard clip clop, clip clop, clip clop. And we ran to the window and threw up the sash to see what was the matter. And along down the highway, because we lived on a 55-mile-an-hour highway, came two swaying lights. And as they got closer, we realized it must have been a couple of Amish teenagers racing each other in their buggies, and
Oh,
off down the road they went. So I met a lot of people then in the farms around us, and I spent a lot of time alone. He was an intern. And then ever since then, moving back to Ohio, and he was from a very small town in Ohio, and I moved here with him, and he's gone now, sadly, but everybody is still here. This is where my life is. My children grew up here. And there are a lot of Amish around. More and more are moving here because land is becoming scarcer up in the more populous Amish communities. And so they're buying up a lot of oil and gas land that has been released for sale in the
really?
last few years. Yeah, we have
Wow,
whole new communities growing up. It's really exciting.
that is amazing. Well, and I heard, I mean, I know Pennsylvania is just really expensive and really crowded. I didn't realize Ohio. I thought they were going even farther west. One of my series, just my latest series, The Amish Quilt Maker, is set in Colorado.
Yeah, I'm reading the first book right now.
Oh, you are?
I love it. I love it. She's so unusual and I love her. So I can't, I'm only in about the third chapter. I can't wait to see what happens. So
Oh,
yeah.
well, thank you. That is a
Yeah.
very high compliment.
Oh, well, and I loved the Huckleberry Hill books
Oh,
too. So yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Anna and Felty, the grandparents, they are just my favorites. I just
Isn't
love
it
them.
fun to write about people that you'd like to have as friends?
Oh, yes.
It's
Yeah.
why I'm sticking to the sweet romance. I enjoy reading a suspense. I read all kinds of things outside of this genre. Um, but I started to write a suspense and I realized I was making the bad guy funny. And I thought, okay, this is probably not what I'm supposed to be doing because you're not supposed to like this guy. He murdered somebody, right? So so maybe that's how we figure out what we should and shouldn't be doing. Life is real enough, and I like a happy. I'm a happy ending girl, Jennifer. I
I
used to
am
back
too.
before Kindle days, and if I get my hands on a paperback book or whatever, a print book, I flip to the back to make sure everyone is still alive.
That's great. That is a great idea.
Yeah,
Well, so tell us
yeah.
about your book.
Well, when I first wrote Ruth's, the editor told me, you need more conflict. I was like, really? Okay. So I wrote in this Nellie Olson-esque, if you remember Little House on the Prairie,
Uh-huh.
granddaughter of the bishop who's been sent there from New York to find a husband, no doubt because she's just too much, and everyone in her hometown
Love
knows.
that.
So she creates some challenges for Ruth and Jonas. Now, the heroine of my second book, Mary, is a character in the first book. She works for Jonas. She is the epitome of a good attitude. She was in trope, the terrible buggy accident as a kid. Her dad was killed, and she had spine and leg injuries, which have left her using crutches all her life. She deals with a certain amount of day-to-day pain. Now, I've had both hips replaced, and I remember how much it hurt before I got that done. Sometimes it still hurts a little bit, but I know I'm blessed to have this, and I can stride out again like I used to do. Mary has had all kinds of surgeries. and is sick and tired of having surgeries. So in this book, she lives in the Doughty house attached to her parents' house. She has four very energetic younger brothers from her mom's second marriage. They all love one another. They're a great family. I have a great family. So this statement doesn't mean I don't, but I'd love to be part of this family. They're good people that you'll like, okay? Because that's who I want to write about, because that's who I want to know. So along comes the new doctor in town, Reuben King. He's a Mennonite. So although she finds him attractive, she's a baptized Amish woman, and he is a Mennonite doctor. So what do they say? A fish and a bird might fall in love, but where are they going to live? So that's the problem that Mary and Reuben have as their feelings for one another grow. So I won't give away the ending, but suffice to say that through the help of Bishop Troyer, who was very large in Ruth's story, they find a solution. And I prayed about this because I thought, oh my goodness, I've dug myself into a hole here. How are these two people going to be together? And I actually started asking Amish people, can you think of a way? And a man called me from up in the Millersburg area to put an advertisement in the newspaper I manage. And I asked him, and he said, well, there's one way I can think of, and it was the solution. So it's what
Wow.
worked out. Yes. And so I can't tell because I don't want to ruin it for everyone.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Ruben has read about a new procedure that he thinks will give Mary increased mobility and take away some of her pain. But I think it's important that people with disabilities are represented in books. And in real life, you don't get a magic bullet that cures you most of the time. You have to take the best you can get and live with whatever's left over. That was the case with my hips, and that's the case for Mary. She will go ahead and have the surgery, and she'll have some relief, but it isn't going to be perfect, okay? Because this is the situation she's in. And that's what real people have to deal with. So, but it's a happy ending and everything works out, of course. You know it's going to. It's a romance,
Okay.
right?
Well, Anne, it's been so fun. We're almost done. Can you
Okay.
tell me what's like your favorite or one of your favorite romantic movies? Have you got one?
Oh,
Oh.
okay. I am obsessed with all of the Jane Austen movies. I think I own every version of every one of them. My absolute favorite is Persuasion, which is most people will say Pride and Prejudice or Sense and Sensibility. I
Mhm.
love the story in Persuasion. And so, have you had a chance to read it? If
Oh,
not,
yes,
yes. Which one do you
I'm a
like
big Jane
most?
Austen fan.
Yeah, tell you. I know that I love the Jennifer L version of, if I'm saying her name right,
Pride and
and
Prejudice.
Colin Firth, who I'm in
Yeah,
love with,
yeah.
of Pride and Prejudice. Although I like the Keira Knightley version too. And
Yeah, I thought that version was so well cast and the
mhm,
production value is beautiful. It just felt
yeah,
like Pride and Prejudice in fast motion. I couldn't
that's
quite
exactly it. They couldn't do
like
everything. Yeah,
yeah.
but I thought they did a good job.
Okay, I ask all my the authors that I interviewed this year if you have a quote or an inspirational thought that you would want to share with us.
My two favorite quotes. The first one is from Ma Ingalls from Laura Ingalls Wilder. Least said, soonest forgotten. I just think that's very wise.
Ooh, yeah.
Close your mouth and don't go in any deeper to the trouble you're making for yourself by talking. And then the other one, and I always misquote it, but Elizabeth Bennet's father says it. He says, "For what were we created, but to um, laugh at
Laugh at our
our neighbors and make sport for them in our
Beckstrand.
turn?" Isn't that something like that? It's so true.
I love that.
I should
Yep,
have written
that's
it
one of
down.
my favorite quotes too.
We have
And if
similar
we can
taste.
laugh at ourselves, that is just so much the better.
I agree. It's really necessary.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're almost done. I have one more
Okay.
question that I ask everybody. You're stuck on a desert island. What three things do you take with you?
Hmm. A handyman, plenty of coffee, and a fully equipped camping setup so that I can sleep in a tent with a nice comfy air mattress, build a fire, and keep the mosquitoes off of me.
Oh, I
Is that
love it.
fair?
Yeah, that is fair.
Yep,
Well, Anne, it's been such a pleasure.
it has
So
been.
lovely, lovely to talk to you.
You
Readers, go
too.
check
Thank you.
out and Mary's Calico Hope, and you will find it because it has a very cute cat on the cover.